Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Mel and this is the first day of the first week of Escape the Readathon. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I will link all the information to the announcement video down below, but this is a readathon hosted by Lexi from Books with Lexi. I'm going to be co-hosting the Team Ghost Tour with Sav, Amy, and Andrew, and I'm super excited. We have all the insider information, so you definitely want to join Team Ghost Tour because we are going to be the ones to get out first. No doubt about it. So this week I was trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. I'm not a huge weekly vlogger. I don't like to just do weekly vlogs without a theme. I prefer to do themed vlogs. So we were on sprints and Cassidy was like, you should do a scavenger hunt picks my book. And I love doing those, but I like to use different prompts when I can because I feel like it's more fun. I do have one that I did a while ago on my channel that I will link for you guys, but Lexi was like, well, what if I pick the prompts for you? And considering that this is Escape the Readathon, I thought that that was perfect. So she has given me a set of, I think it's 7 prompts, and I will start with a book and then go through until the end. And the last book is the book that I will be reading. The fun thing about this is, instead of it just being a one book vlog like they typically are, I think I'm going to continue to do the scavenger hunt throughout the whole week. So whatever book that I end on for this first scavenger hunt will be the start of the next prompt for the scavenger hunt. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So it's just going to kind of spiral like a domino, and I'm hoping to find some really good reads this week. I've been in a bit of a slump, and so I need something to get me out of it. So let's just jump on in. Let's find out what my first prompts are, and I think David's gonna help me, so get ready for a little bit of extra chaos. I can't talk to him while I'm filming.
He wants to be a friend. Look at him.
David's in the floor talking, so ignore him. I gotta film. I gotta film.
Oh, he's more important.
You can pet him, you just can't talk to him. Okay, so for our first prompt, we got find a book where the title on the spine isn't black or white. Okay. Okay, so David helped us. We have the hiding place. The font on the spine is red, so this definitely counts. Okay, so for the scavenger hunt, we just keep going, and we'll use this book for the next reference. Next, find a book where the title starts with the first letter of that author's first or last name. So we need to find a book where the title starts with either a C or a T. He's pretty good at this. He found us our second book, which is Theft of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan. Starts with a T. Tudor, she said it could be first or last name. I'm gonna need you not to grow up for just a second.
The time of his life, leave him alone.
This vlog is an epic fail already. This is what I get for trying to film when there are people here. Okay, so for the next one, we have look at the front cover, find a book that matches the colors of that book. So I guess we need to find something else that's like a gold and gray. Gold and black? Oh, that was fast. Okay, so we have the last argument of kings. This definitely counts. Yellowish, gold, and black. This is perfect. So that was really fast. This is going to be a quick scavenger hunt. Next up, we have find a book that is the same genre that you have read and liked. So this is fantasy. So you can really pick anything on these shelves down.
All of them?
Mm-hmm. But pick me something good, because we've got a prompt that comes next. What are you doing?
Close my eyes and pointed at one.
Oh, God.
Flames of Myra.
Okay. So he picked us Flames of Mira by Clay Harmon. Really? Are you done? No, we're not done. Okay, so this is also a fantasy like the last argument of kings. Then we have find a book that is the same height. So you have to find a book that's the same height as this one. Those are Book of the Month books. We don't talk about those. Those are shameful. We don't talk about those.
Gotta be the exact same?
Yep, gotta be the same height. Okay, I'm gonna move the saver. Is it the same height? Let's see. I think it counts. It's the same height. So next we have The Savior by J.R. Ward. Okay, now we need to find a book that has the same amount of words in the title. So we have 1, 2, 3. Oh, words, not letters. Yes, 2. We're about to find a lot of words. Okay. So he picked Savage Lands by Stacey Brown. So the next one has to be a book that I have not read because that's going to be the final book. Find a book that is within 30 pages of the same page count.
Oh, crap.
I found two that I think would count, but we're gonna let David pick. The first one is Mary by Nat Cassidy. This is a horror about a woman it's about a middle-aged woman that is trying to do her best to blend into the background. Lately, things have not been going the way that she had planned. She's having hot flashes, body aches, basic menopause stuff. She's been fired from her job in New York and is moving back to her hometown to reconnect with her past, but Mary discovers that these experiences are echoes of an infamous serial killer. Then the killings begin again, and she's definitely going to find herself. I think this has cult vibes, maybe? I'm not really sure how that plays out, but I've heard really good things. Kaylee absolutely loves it. And then the other one is just a random fantasy, but it was gifted to me by Jamie recently, so thank you, Jamie. It's Cold Iron by Miles Cameron. Bloody choices breed bloody consequences. This guy thought that he was a mage. He had trained for the role, studied and practiced, but then he realized he's not a mage, he is a swordsman. The first choice will lead him down a path more dangerous than he ever imagined and is not prepared for, because a sword is a false temptress, and as he leaves his past behind to study the way of the blade, war is stirring, and a swordsman must live and die by his weapon no matter which side he's fighting for. So, we'll let David pick. Which one do you think I should read?
Serial killer.
Serial killer? Okay. He picked Mary, which I feel like is perfect because this is the first week of Escape the Readathon, which you can read any genre that you want. It does not have to be horror or thriller, but I feel like it's just appropriate. This one was 402 pages, which was within the 30-page count from 419, so we're going with Mary. I'm really excited to read this. It's been on my TBR since Kaylee and Cassidy raved about it. Hey guys, so I need to update you on Mary, but first and foremost, I did want to show you guys that I got some very important mail today. I got the next 2 bookmarks for my Patreon. The top tier Patreons get a bookmark or a sticker every other month, and I got the next 2 in, and they are so freaking pretty. I love them so much. So this one is going to be the May bookmark, and it is rose gold foil, and I love it. It's single-sided. And then we also have a Shroom. This one will be July, and it's also rose gold foil. And I just love it so much. But next, let's talk about Mary by Nat Cassidy. This started out so strong. Like, I adored the first chapter. It was creepy, it was engaging, it got me hooked and on the edge of my seat. When we flipped over into the present point of view, I was slightly less interested, but still very interested. At times, I get a little annoyed by how little of a spine our main character has, but at the same time, I think there's a reason for that. She's very whiny, but again, I think there's gonna be a reason for that. And there's lots of little horror moments sprinkled throughout, lots of intriguing things that she's finding out slowly as she goes. So I am very invested and really, really enjoying this so far. I did forget to tell you exactly what this is about, like not the back synopsis. It opens telling you about this prolific serial killer, and then we switch into present point of view, where we have Mary, who is dealing with some health issues. She's perimenopausal, but she's having all of these symptoms that she just cannot explain. And she keeps going to doctor after doctor who keeps telling her that everything is just textbook and she's fine. But she knows that there's something that's not right, something that's wrong. She's seeing things, she's hearing things, and she's trying to get to the bottom of this. When she loses her job and her aunt calls her, she has to end up going back home to her hometown, which is where this prolific serial killer was originally from, to take care of her dying aunt. Like I said, am really enjoying this so far. I'm very excited to keep reading it, and even though it's slow, it's still giving me enough throughout the story to keep me very, very engaged, and I'm having a great time. So check back in with you guys once I've read a little bit more, and I'm loving it. Hey guys, so it is quite late, but I wanted to update you on Mary because I have now finished it. I really enjoyed this book. I'm not 100% sure what my final rating is going to settle out to be. It's definitely a 4-star, but I think it's actually going to lean on the higher end of the 4-star. I can really appreciate what this book was doing. It has a lot of messages to it, but not in an in-your-face kind of way, in more of a subtle, nuanced type of way. And I think that the author's note at the beginning and the end does help to flesh out that nuance quite a lot. This book was inspired by Carrie by Stephen King, and I think that toward the end especially, you can really see those influences. It's definitely not a direct retelling of Carrie. It has its own plot, its own character, its own, like, I don't know, wackiness to it, but you can see the influences of Carrie, and I think that that part was very well done. This book is off its rocker. It's wild, especially toward the end. It gets a little crazy. And I think at times that's where me as a logic-driven reader, it did lose me just a teeny bit because we had a lot going on and not everything was super well thought out, especially for it to be as long of a book as it was. We spent a lot more time on the beginning and the middle kind of learning about Mary and building up to this point, and I think the buildup was extremely well done. At parts this book felt slow, and like it was meandering, but at the same time, knowing what I know now in the end, I think that buildup was very well done, because if we hadn't taken that time, I would have said that it felt too rushed. I think that Night Cassidy did a very good job of sprinkling in those horror elements throughout so that I was never completely bored or not wanting to continue. Anytime that something would start to lull, we would have this moment where I was like, wait, what's going on? Tell me more. And just wanted to keep moving and propelled myself in the story. I think that Mary as a narrator was extremely interesting. She's a very complex character with a lot to say and a lot going on, and I appreciated that. So I think this is going to be a solid 4-star for me. Like I said, I can really appreciate what he was doing, what he was trying to achieve, and I did lose a little bit in the logic, but at the same time, I was willing to suspend some of my belief because of the type of story that this is and what it was trying to do. Does that make sense? I definitely think if you're interested in picking this up, be aware that it is quite gory. He does give you trigger warnings at the beginning of the book. There is a lot of gore in here. I don't think that it was over the top. I don't think that it was unnecessary for the sake of just being there. I think that it all made sense to the story, and I quite liked that. It's scary in that sense, and it's scary to think about kind of the conversations that it's having, so that's what makes it horror. I think that the audiobook was fantastic. I highly recommend the audiobook. She does such a fantastic job of bringing this character Mary to life, but also bringing the side characters to life and just creating this unhinged tension that I don't know that I would have gotten if I had read this physically. And normally I would say the exact opposite when we're talking about a horror. Typically I would say that physically reading it is better because your eyes can interpret things and build up that suspense. But in this, I think that she did such a good job narrating it that I would definitely recommend the audiobook. So this was a win. I'm so glad that I picked this up. It was a recommendation from Kaylee originally, who gave it 5 stars, and then Cassidy, who also really enjoyed it. And I'm glad that I listened to them both and I picked it up because I've already filmed my top 10 horror, but if I hadn't, this definitely could have been on the list for sure, and probably will be next year. So absolutely loved that. And then let's flip to the clip from past Mel that filmed the scavenger hunt for my next read. Okay guys, so since I finished Mary, we now need to scavenger hunt for my next book, and we're just gonna go through like with the first prompt all the way down again until I find the next one, but this is gonna be our starting point. So we're going to find a book where the title and the spine is the same color as Mary. So Mary is kind of a multicolor spine, I'm not gonna lie. Like the font color is white and brown. And I don't know that I am going to have another book that is white and brown. So I guess let's find a book where the like title and author name is multicolor in some way. I feel like that would work. Do you feel like that works? I feel like that works. Okay, so I got Velocity Weapon. The title is white and the author's name is red, so it's multicolor. I think that's about as close as I'm gonna get. Now we want to find a book where the title starts with the first letter of that author's first or last name. So I need to find a book where the title either starts with a M or an O. Yeah, an M or an O. Just to make it easy on myself, we're gonna go with Mistborn. Starts with an M, Megan O'Keefe. Then the next one is to look at the front cover, find a book that matches the colors of that book. This was a really bad decision. I now have to find a purple and pink book. Purple and pink? Mostly purple. Dadgummit, that was a really bad decision. Okay, I think I found one that's relatively close, and that's going to be Sundial. I feel like they're pretty similar. I mean, this has got like that purple magenta color because I don't have just a whole lot of purple books. Next, we're going to find a book that is the same genre as the previous. So I need to find something that is a horror. That shouldn't be hard. And I cheated a little bit and strategically chose this one. So Ghost Teachers is a horror, and I didn't want to choose any like of a lot of the paperbacks because they're weird heights. And the next one is to find a book that is the same height as the previous book. A lot of US hardcovers are all the same height, so I did look ahead just a little bit to try to be a little more strategic than Mistborn. Okay, so I ended up going with Insomnia by Sarah Pinborough. These are the same height. And the next prompt is to find a book that has the same amount of words in the title. This is a one-word title, so let's see if we can find another one-word title book. So I didn't want to do all horror and thriller. I know we already had Mistborn. So for one-word title, I found Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. It's not even like the Foundryside, it's just Foundryside. So the next prompt is to find a book that is within 30 pages of this one, and it has to be the one I haven't read because that's what I'm going to be reading. This one is 503 pages, so I have to find something that is between 473 and 533 pages. And I think I found one. I swear I didn't cheat in order to get this book. I did not. But the one that I'm going to be doing is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Everyone is loving this book right now, and I just have to pick it up. I have to read it. I have to know. It sounds so incredibly good, and it is 498 pages, which is perfectly in the range. I'm so excited. Look at that shine. Look at those sprayed edges. Oh my gosh, it is absolutely gorgeous. Look at the map on the end papers. I'm so excited to read this. I've heard it said that it's divergent with dragons. I think it is a touch fantasy romance, and I'm really excited about that. It says, enter the brutal and elite world of a war college for dragon riders. Sold. You don't really have to tell me any more than that, but it is about 20-year-old Violet, who is supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, living a quiet life among books and history. But now the commanding general, known as her mother, has ordered her to join the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite dragon riders. With fewer dragons willing to bond than cadets, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success. The rest would kill her just for being her mother's daughter. She needs every edge she can and to keep her wits in order to get her to the next sunrise. Yet with every day that passes, a war outside grows more deadly. The kingdom's protective wards are failing, and the death toll continues to rise. Even worse, Violet begins to suspect leadership is in hiding and a terrible secret. I'm sold. I'm down. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to read this book. The audiobook is also on Scribd, so I will be listening and reading along, and I'm so excited to get back to fantasy roots, to read a book that everyone is loving, and to just have a fantastic reading week. Like, this is going to be a great week. I can already feel it. So I'm going to go start this, and I will touch base when I'm a little bit further in, hopefully gushing, screaming, and talking about how much I love it. So I just got home from work and I had a package on the front porch, so I decided that we needed to unbox that. And then I also need to tell you my initial thoughts on the Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. So first things first, let's unbox the package. There's the pull tab. There's the pull tab. This never goes well. Are you ready? Ha! I did it on the first try. I know what this is. It is a Barnes & Noble pre-order that I did during the pre-order sale just because I wanted to get it for 25% off. And it is Slaying the Vampire Conqueror by Carissa Broadbent. This is the first and only one in the standalone, what are they called? Mortal Enemies to Monster Lovers books. She wrote one, and then I think 3 other authors wrote the others. Honestly, I'm really only interested in this one because I like Carissa Broadbent. It is a gorgeous naked hardcover. Like, I love that so much. And I'm excited to have the collection of Carissa Broadbent's like Worlds of Nixia series complete. I'm very excited to read this. I think it's supposed to be spicier than the Crowns of Nixia novels, which worries me a little bit, but at the same time, I really love her writing and I'm excited to dive back into the world because after this, there's nothing else for a whole year and I just don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. Okay, so now let's get first impressions on Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I am on chapter 13, I think, of this, and I'm about 32% of the way in. So let me tell you really quickly what the story is about. It's about Violet, who has always grown up training to be a scribe. And in this world, you have to be conscribed into the army, but you can either do it as a healer, a scribe, or a warrior dragon rider. Obviously, most people go in as a healer or a scribe because the dragon riders are the elite of the elite, and they oftentimes don't even make it through like their school of training. Her sister is one of the best dragon riders. Her mother is one of the like lieutenants or something in the army. And she always thought she would take after her father and become a scribe. But then her mother says, no, this family does not become scribes, this family becomes dragon riders. So despite the fact that she is not physically fit, she is on the small side, she's always been told that she's kind of puny, she has to try to figure out how to overcome those odds and become a dragon rider. The beginning of this book I did quite like. The first couple of chapters I was really into. I thought that the way that they were setting up the dragons and the world and the really cutthroat mother was quite interesting. Slowly we delved a little bit into trope territory where I was starting to see that there was a lot of tropes happening in this book. Underdog, that I'm assuming is going to come back and not be the underdog anymore. Childhood lover that never gave her the time of day, and now that she's doing something with herself, they want to protect her and they want to love her, that kind of stuff. And so I was like, oh no, is this just going to be a like young adult trope heavy type of story? And it's still very tropey, even kind of where I am now, but we are slowly starting to lean away from the tropes and lean more into who Violet is as a main character, and I'm liking that a lot more. I would say for me that happened about chapter 7 or chapter 8, where I was like, okay, this is new adult, which I needed to kind of wrap my brain around a little bit. She's 20 and there are going to be spicy scenes and she's got a mouth on her, and every once in a while you really see that sass come out, which I love. But I was hoping that it wasn't just underdog says that they don't have it easy, but then actually everything comes easy to them. So far that has not been the case, and that was my initial concern, is I did not want it to be one of those books where it was like, well, she's the underdog, but she's gonna have everything figured out and she's gonna do it and it's not gonna be a problem, because that's not fun. But so far, Rebecca Yarros is doing a very good job of making that not be the case, so I have been pleasantly surprised. People were making fun of me in my Patreon Discord because they were like, you're being very nitpicky. And I will admit I was. But I'm having a lot of fun with this book now that I've kind of gotten my expectations wrapped around, because I thought that this was like adult like this, and it's not. It's very much so more along the lines of Ashes of the Sun kind of adult. We are starting to get introduced to more of the dragons, and I think the dragons are badass. I like what she's doing with them. I like that the dragons really only use the humans for whatever they need, and the humans are just basically at the dragon's mercy. Like, they rule the roost and we take from them what they will give us. I find that that is extremely well done. I like the sprinkling of magic in there. I'm hoping that we get even more world building, because so far we haven't learned a lot about where the dragons are from, but I am liking what we're learning about that. So overall, I think that this is going to, it's kind of sitting at a 4-star for me right now. I'm quite enjoying it. I'm getting over the tropiness of it and moving forward just to have a good time. I do like Violet quite a lot. I'm liking the enemies to lovers that I think we're going to be getting. It's not, I don't think, true enemies to lovers after we got a couple of chapters in. Like, I think he's got some ulterior motives, but I like his vibes. And I initially thought that that romance was going to come on way too strong, way too fast, way too heavy. We had one scene where she was talking about how hot he was, and I was like, we don't need to go into the how hot he is. That's definitely leading young adult. Like, I got it. But their interactions with one another I have quite liked. We've got the friend, and the friend is getting on my nerves. I see his purpose, but we're beating a dead horse on that one a little bit. But overall, I'm really interested to see where the romance goes. We don't have any romance really so far. I mean, I'm 30% in, and it's more focused at the moment on her and overcoming these odds, which I quite appreciate. I know, I'm a nitpicky bitch when it comes to reading, but I do like books. I feel like I need to say that. I've gotten beaten up on it sprints lately. I do like books, and I am liking this one. I just, like I said, had to get past the tropes of it, but we're looking better now. I'm gonna continue reading this tonight. I am excited to keep moving forward in the story. I'm hoping to get to at least 50%, and I feel like I can do that because I'm already 30% of the way in. I'm going to hop on Sab sprints tonight. We're doing Escape the Readathon sprints, and I'm repping the merch tonight. I'm really excited to join her and quite a few other people, I think, on sprints tonight. But before I do that, I am going to go grab some dinner, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay guys, so I'm not quite done with Fourth Wing yet, but I'm getting very, very close. So we needed to do the scavenger hunt for my third and probably final read. It's Thursday and I wanted this vlog to go up on Sunday, so this will probably be the last read unless I get some kind of novella or something like that. So we'll see. I am really excited to do this one more time and see what we're gonna get. So let's start off with the first question, which is to find a book where the title on the spine is the same color as the previous. And I just have the dust jacket here because I'm still reading the book, but this spine is black, so we need to find another book with a black spine. And when I said black spine, I meant like black writing on the spine, so I'm gonna go with Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This definitely has black writing on the spine. Then we're gonna find a book where the title starts with the first letter of that author's first or last name. I think I've gone over like exactly what this whole scavenger hunt means at this point, so I'm not gonna keep telling you over and over again. I'm just gonna go find a book with a B or a C. I feel like maybe I'm cheating just a little bit here because I was trying to find one that didn't use the, but I'm going to ignore the and just do Broken Girls by Simone St. James for this one. Our next prompt is to look at the front cover and find a book that matches the colors of that book. So I need one that is blue, orange, and tan. This was a really bad choice. So I think the closest that I'm gonna get on the blue, orange, and tan front cover is Pinata by Leopoldo Gout. This is a new one that everybody is talking about, so I kind of wish I'd been able to choose this last. And I guess there's nothing that says that I can't choose this again. Then we have to find a book in the same genre. So this is a horror. I need to find another horror book. And I looked ahead and cheated just a smidge, and we're gonna do the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires because the next is to find a book that is the same height, and US hardcovers are typically the same height, so I'm learning. I'm getting a little better at this without screwing myself over. So this is actually a very weirdly shaped hardcover. I found that it was about a centimeter to an inch shorter than most of my other hardcovers, but I think that I found one in the 7.5 Lives of Evelyn Hardcastle. These are the same height, so we'll be going with this one next. For the next prompt, we have find a book that is the same amount of words in the title. Oh no, that was a really bad decision. I just was bragging about how I looked ahead of the prompts. Okay, so we have to find a book that is one. Are we counting 7.5 as one word? I feel like we should. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words in the title. Okay, so that took a whole lot longer than I was expecting it to. I could find 7 and I could find 5, but I had a really hard time finding 6. I ended up going with The Last House on Needless Street, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. Thank goodness. I was a little worried I had miscounted there. And then we need to find a book that is within 30 pages of this page count. So let's see how many pages this one is. It's not very long. Without the afterword, it's 328 pages. So we need to find a book that is between 298 pages and 358 pages. That may be very challenging for me. 298, 358. I really wanted to do Wayward, but it says Wayward is 368 pages. Dang it. Okay. I'm still looking. Okay. Oh, got something in my eyeball. I think I found a couple of different options. I found 3 different ones that I'm considering. And what I think I'm gonna do is see, first of all, which of these has audiobooks, because I definitely need an audiobook for tomorrow. And then I'm gonna let my patrons choose between these 3 to decide what I'm gonna be reading. The first is A Slate of Shadows, which is my highly anticipated sequel to An Unkindness of Magicians. I kind of want to reread The Unkindness of Magicians before I read this one. So I'm not 100% sure if I want them to pick this, but we'll see. If they pick it, I'm just gonna wing it. The next one is Ascension by Nicholas Binge. This is a thriller sci-fi, I think, that has been getting a lot of buzz recently. It sounds interesting. It's written in letters and narrative, I think. And I'm curious about it. I've not heard a ton of people say whether they liked it or disliked it, but I have seen it floating around. Broken Binding did a very, very pretty edition of this not too long ago, so maybe this one. And then another horror that I've been anticipating is Suffer the Children. This is by Craig DeLuey, which also wrote episode 13. However, I'm waiting on the audio before I read episode 13, and its hold is like 900,000 years long. So I'm going to consider this one instead. This is about creepy children. So any of the 3 of these are definitely possibilities. We'll see which one they choose. Once I know, I will come back and let you guys know, and we will continue reading. It's been a really good week so far, and I need them to pick me a good book so that the week can continue to be a very good week. Anyway, so people are walking in my neighborhood, which means Ollie's gonna have a fit, so I'm gonna go. Okay, friends, so I finally need to talk to you about The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I really, really, really enjoyed this book. I will admit, in the beginning, I was a little bit concerned because there were a lot of young adult tropes and it was just reading kind of young. She's supposed to be 20 years old, but she's also been stuck in a, like, library for most of her life, and so she hasn't got a lot of life experiences, and a lot of that I was finding to read on the younger side. And as we started to progress through the book, it was like a solid high 4-star through most of the book. I was having a great time. I was highly entertained. There were a couple of things, like I loved the school setting, but I did want it to kind of slow the pace down a little bit and start to sprinkle in some of those world building moments a little bit earlier, as well as the character dynamics I was hoping would get a little bit more fleshed out. We ended up getting some really good character dynamics in this. It just took a little while for us to get there. The world building, in the ways that she was doing it, I liked quite a lot. We were getting these scribe moments where she was studying and trying to remember things to get her through stuff. I liked that. But I did want just a little bit more of the lore and the world and the things that she had learned. We get that. It just takes a while for us to get there. And so when we hit the last probably 100-ish pages of this book, the pace didn't slow down any, but the world really expanded, and I quite liked that. I loved the school setting, don't get me wrong. I thought that the strategy classes were fun, and the trials and stuff that they were having to deal with were so much fun, but I wanted just a little bit more depth than fun, if that makes sense. And that the ending gave it to me. I loved the dragons. I thought that the dragons were fantastic. The relationship between Xaden and Vi, I ended up loving. I liked him from the very beginning, but we don't get a lot of moments of them together. They're sprinkled throughout, which honestly I did not mind. A lot of romances tend to hit too hard and too heavy too fast, and I don't feel like Rebecca Yarros did that. She really gave their relationship time to develop and gave us little moments of interaction between the two with banter and snark and snipes that I quite enjoyed. She made me hate a character, which is always good when you can make me feel really strongly about a character. She made me want to cry about a character. Again, always good when an author can make you feel a loss for that. And I thought that that was extremely well done. So I ended up giving this 5 stars, just like everybody else. I thought it was extremely well done, and I loved how everything wrapped up. Very excited to see how it continues in November with, it's not Iron Gold, that's the Iron Fury? Iron Fury, I think, is coming out in November. So I'm very, very, very excited to read that one. And then to let you guys know what I ended up going with for my last pick, I cheated. I didn't cheat. I did cheat. I don't feel like it's cheating. So I asked my patrons what they wanted me to read, but I did put Wayward by Blake Crouch in there because the Kindle edition is 340 pages and I needed it to be between 298 and 358. So it counted. So I gave them that option as well as the others, and they ended up going with Wayward. So I did start that audiobook on my way home today. This is the second book in the Pine series by Blake Crouch, and I ended up really enjoying the first one. I had a couple of logic issues with it, but I had a fun time. I thought it was really well done. This one I'm not loving quite as much, unfortunately. It's picking up pretty much right where the last one left off, like not the same line, but very shortly thereafter. Ethan is now in his new role, and I'm just a little bit bored. I think as we've now gotten to the halfway point, and I think the halfway point is going to, from there on, work a lot better for me. In the beginning, it's a lot of hammering home how terrible the situation is and all of their insecurities and feelings, and it is in your face. It's every other word, and I just don't love that. I wanted more of the mystery, and I'm trying to be very vague because I feel like the series is best if you know nothing about it, but there's a little bit of a mystery and kind of the situation that they are in. I don't love the wife. She kind of grates on my nerves a little bit, and I don't necessarily think that, I just think it's that Blake Crouch maybe doesn't know how to write that kind of female character. I don't know. It's not bad. It's just not all that believable to me. So I'm enjoying it, but I'm not loving it as much as I was hoping to based off of the end of Pines. But I'm still enjoying it, and I will absolutely finish out the series. We got a new point of view introduced. I think he was introduced a little bit earlier than the halfway point, but the halfway point is where we really start to see him, and I quite like what that point of view has brought to the story, and I'm hoping that we expand a lot more on that at this point, so I'm excited to continue it. I think I have about an hour and a half left of it, so I'm hoping I can finish it tonight, and then we will wrap up this vlog with hopefully 3 wins. When's the last time I had 3 wins in a vlog? Okay, so hopefully this clip is usable because my dishwasher is going and it has a really long time and I don't want to wait to finish out this video and give you guys this clip. I have been avoiding reading. I have found a new obsession, and so it took me quite a while to finally finish off Wayward Pines. I've been watching the show From on MGM, or I guess what used to be Epix, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm completely addicted. It's a horror mystery, and it's about these people that end up in this small town that they cannot leave, and at night monsters come out and slaughter people that don't have this talisman up in their window, and it's really interesting. I'm trying to figure out what's going on and who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, why these people are there. There's so many questions. The monsters are beyond creepy. Like, this is not a bedtime show. I freaked myself out, but I'm really, really enjoying it. So I've been a little bit addicted and not necessarily reading the way that I'm supposed to be reading. But with that being said, I have now finished Wayward. It's not Wayward Pines. I have finished Wayward, which is the second book in the Pines trilogy. I liked this one okay. It was not my favorite. It definitely got better for me about the halfway point. Things started to happen. We were moving the plot forward, and that's when we started to find out a little bit more about the mystery and what's going on. I will admit that I was hopeful at the end of book one that this book was gonna, or this series was gonna take a much broader approach, and we're still very much so in a contained setting, and so I just am a little bit bored by the repetitiveness of it. I want it to do more, and I'm hoping book three ends up doing that, but it may be too late to do it in one book, if that makes sense. I don't know. I liked where things were going. I liked the mystery. I think I'm just gonna have to zone in my expectations a little bit and not want it to be this more broad scope, maybe? I don't know. I think I'm gonna give it a 3-star. It was fine. I liked the first one better, and this one definitely felt more like a setup, middle bridge kind of book, especially in the beginning. But I did like the second half, so we'll see where it goes and what ends up happening. I do want to finish out the trilogy for sure. But yeah, not quite as big of a win as the previous two were, but that's okay. We can't have like all 4 and 5 stars. We have to have one that was like, it was all right, right? So I guess we'll go ahead and close out this vlog. I really enjoyed Mary. The more I think about it, the more that I like it. I'm so glad that I read it. If you are a slow burn horror fan that likes a little bit of twisted in your books and you don't mind conversations in your horror novels, but you still want some gore and some horror elements to it too, I think that Mary is a great choice. I had a great time with it. And then we did Fourth Wing, which is for fans of Fireborn. I think would really enjoy that book. It is a slow burn fantasy romance. Not magic school, but military school, dragons, and definitely is going to broaden the scope out as well. And then Wayward obviously is for hybrid thriller fans, and quite enjoyed that one. So thank you guys so much for watching and for hanging out with me this week. I feel like this was a super fun experiment that got me some really good books. I'm also very excited for next week's vlog, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. If you are following along with Escape the Readathon, we have now gone through the first door and we are in the second room, so go ghost tour. If you guys just want to let me know that you were here and that you were hanging out, leave me a bathtub emoji because the cover of Mary is a bathtub. And I just think that that's hilarious. So leave me a bathtub emoji down in the comments below. As always, links to my Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, and Goodreads are all in the description box down below. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you wanna, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.